The training yard was alive with chatter and the echoes of boots against the hard ground. Her eyes scanned the expanse of the field, every detail etched into her mind. The sun glinted off the metal obstacles, casting long shadows that danced with the wind. Her fingers flexed instinctively, feeling the energy surge through her muscles. The other recruits watched from the sidelines, some with curiosity, some with disbelief, and others with barely concealed mockery. They whispered among themselves, questioning if she could handle the challenges ahead. The sand beneath her boots crunched softly as she stepped forward, her posture calm but every nerve alert. The trainers stood at a distance, observing the scene with mild interest, but neither of them expected what was about to unfold. She inhaled sharply, the air thick with anticipation filling her lungs, and she let it out slowly, almost like a signal to the world that she was ready. The first obstacle was a massive wall looming above, her head taller than most of the recruits could manage on their first attempt. She approached it deliberately, her eyes tracking every groove and edge. She placed her hands firmly and leapt with controlled power, feeling the muscles in her legs coil and release. She pulled herself upward, the motion fluid, almost elegant despite the brute force required, and swung over the top landing on the other side without a stumble. The crowd of watchers murmured in surprise, and a few even clapped softly. Her eyes did not waver. She moved on to the next challenge, a series of weighted sandbags lined up like silent sentinels waiting to test her strength. She bent her knees and lifted the first bag, the weight solid in her hands, yet somehow manageable. Her arms strained, but never faltered. Her body moved in perfect coordination. She placed it down carefully and picked up the next. The sequence repeated, each movement more precise than the last. The whispers grew louder, some skeptical, some impressed, and a few hesitant, acknowledging that she was performing far beyond expectations. But the murmurs quickly turned into laughter as she approached the final and heaviest bag. Her comrades snickered openly, thinking this was where she would fail. They leaned on each other, joking under their breath, mocking her silently. The SEAL commander, standing off to the side, observed silently, his eyes calculating, assessing and challenging her without saying a word. She felt his gaze piercing her like a blade, testing her resolve. She did not flinch. She took a steadying breath, bent her knees, and lifted the massive sandbag. The weight, a true test of raw power. Her muscles burned, but she held firm. She lifted it higher, balancing with precision. The laughter faltered as all eyes focused on her. She straightened her back and carried the bag to the designated drop point. Her feet moved steadily across the ground, landing with a soft thud, each step controlled and deliberate. She lowered the bag gently and stepped back, her chest rising and falling with the effort. The crowd was silent now, their disbelief replacing the previous derision. Some faces pale with surprise, others with grudging respect. She had proven her strength in a way that words could not capture. The SEAL commander took a slow step forward, his expression unreadable. His boots clicked against the ground, drawing attention as he approached. Her eyes met his unwavering, a silent challenge passing between them. The spectators shifted, nervously sensing that the true test was about to begin. The air seemed to thicken. The wind held still as though the world itself was waiting. She adjusted her stance, her fingers curling into fists, the tension coiling in her muscles like a tightly wound spring. The commander's eyes flicked to her posture, noting the steadiness, the precision, and the sheer determination. He smiled faintly, a predator acknowledging a worthy opponent. The 100 watchers drew in their collective breath, the space. Between them and the imminent clash charged with anticipation, she circled slightly, measuring distance, observing his every subtle movement. The commander made the first motion, a lunge, quick and forceful, designed to overwhelm. But she was ready. She shifted her weight, her legs responding instantly. The timing, perfect. She sidestepped with fluid grace, evading the strike easily. His eyes widened slightly in the fraction of a second that it took him to recover. The crowd gasped, murmurs rising as they witnessed the first exchange. The SEAL commander recovered quickly, his training and reflexes unmatched, but she matched him blow for blow. Anticipation, meeting. Anticipation. Her movements precise, her strategy evident in the controlled rhythm of her attacks. He struck again, faster, harder, more calculated, and each time she deflected, countered, or dodged with ease. The 100 watchers leaned forward, some mouths agape, some fists clenched, unable to comprehend the spectacle unfolding before them. The clash continued, her body a blur of motion, striking with measured force, his defenses faltering more with each blow. The sun glinted off her hair, her uniform sweat dampened, but her focus unbroken. Her heart raced, but her mind was calm, calculating. Every possible outcome, each strike designed not only to test her strength, but to expose the weaknesses she had studied in his stance. The commander's breathing grew heavier, his confidence wavering slightly. He realized that the woman he had underestimated was no ordinary recruit. She moved like a storm contained within a disciplined frame, each strike deliberate, each evasion flawless. The onlookers could hardly follow the rapid sequence, the intensity, electric every second, stretching like a taut wire, ready to snap. The final sandbag lifted, the initial laughter replaced by awe. The mockery turned into astonishment, but she knew this was only the beginning. Her eyes locked with the commander's again, the silent challenge still burning between them. The next movement would decide the momentum, the tide, the direction of what was about to become a legendary confrontation. And as she prepared to strike again, the wind shifted, carrying with it the murmurs of the watchers and the unspoken question, hanging in the air, waiting for an answer that only her next move could provide. The SEAL commander steadied himself, his eyes narrowing as he watched her recover from the last exchange. His chest rose and fell rapidly with exertion, but his mind raced. Calculating the next move, she circled slowly, keeping her balance perfectly aware of his every shift and twitch. The 100 watchers leaned forward, murmurs rippled through the crowd, some astonished, some skeptical, some fearful of what was about to happen. The commander lunged again, faster this time, striking with calculated precision, expecting her to falter. She shifted her weight effortlessly, evading the blow almost as if she anticipated it before it began. Her hands moved with lightning, speed blocking and countering simultaneously. The force of her strike pushed him back a step, and a gasp went through the spectators. The commander blinked in surprise. His pride pricked for the first time in years of training. He moved again, striking, harder, aiming for her torso, and she responded instinctively, twisting and parrying each blow with fluid motion. She sidestepped, landing lightly on her feet like a dancer. The crowd was spellbound, whispers turning to murmurs of disbelief. How could she match him? How could she strike and evade with such precision? She pressed her advantage, moving forward, her body coiled like a spring, ready to unleash controlled power. Every strike she delivered, precise, measured, designed to destabilize him, but not recklessly. Her eyes never left his face, reading his reactions, watching his breathing, noting the subtle changes in his stance. The commander recovered his balance, his muscles tensing for a heavier strike. He feinted to the left. She pivoted to the right, anticipating the feint. The 100 watchers held their collective breath, the tension palpable as if the air itself had thickened, each movement a question, each response an answer, but none of the watchers could predict who would gain the upper hand. She struck his arm, forcing him to stumble slightly, the impact enough to draw a flicker of surprise across his face. He recoiled briefly, and the crowd gasped, the sound sharp and sudden, breaking the tension, but not the suspense. She smiled faintly, a predator enjoying the challenge. Her heart pounded, but her mind was clear, each strike calculated with precision and intent. The commander lunged once more aggressively, more determined to assert his dominance. But she was ready, again sidestepping, turning the momentum against him. She struck his side, forcing him to pivot the impact enough to make him lose ground. The spectators could hardly follow the rapidity, the clash moving faster than their eyes could trace. The sound of their contact echoed across the yard, a rhythmic clash punctuated by the subtle grunt of effort. The SEAL commander growled under his breath, his pride wounded but his skill undeniable. He adjusted his stance, circling her, cautiously testing her defenses. She mirrored him, moving in perfect synchronization, her gaze never faltering. The tension was suffocating the 100 watchers leaning forward, some holding their breaths as if afraid to exhale. Her footwork precise, her strikes a blend of strength and calculated technique. Each blow measured, each evasion flawless. He struck again, aiming for her legs this time, trying to destabilize her balance. She jumped back, twisting in midair, avoiding the strike, her landing silent but controlled. The crowd erupted in murmurs, awe mixed with disbelief. Every second stretched, every movement building anticipation for what would come next. She feinted a strike to his chest. He moved instinctively to block, and she pivoted behind him, landing a sharp blow to his back, forcing him forward. The 100 watchers gasped. The commander's eyes widened in shock and fury, but she did not relent. Her strikes relentless, precise, and unpredictable. His arms moved to counter, but she shifted again, striking at an angle he did not anticipate. The clash intensified faster, harder, each movement a test of skill, endurance, and strategy. Her mind racing, she calculated every possible outcome, noting his fatigue, his slight imbalance, the subtle tremor in his hand. The SEAL commander knew he was facing someone extraordinary, someone who matched his skill and exceeded expectations. He lunged again, more aggressively, pushing his limits. She responded fluidly, twisting, evading, striking, each movement controlled, yet devastating. The crowd watched, mesmerized, unable to tear their eyes away from the spectacle unfolding before them. She pressed forward, her determination palpable, every muscle coiled and ready, every strike calculated. He staggered back slightly, the force of her blows, cumulative, wearing down his defenses. She saw her opportunity, her eyes locking with his, reading the final pattern of his stance. She moved faster than before, a blur striking. At the precise point that would decide the momentum, the 100 watchers gasped. Some whispered, some leaned forward, craning their necks, trying to comprehend what was happening. His breath came faster, sweat dripping from his brow, muscles tense, ready to counter. But she had anticipated every move. She struck with perfect timing, landing a hit that forced him to stumble, the ground beneath them seeming to vibrate with the intensity of the encounter. The crowd erupted into whispers of disbelief, awe, admiration, fear, and excitement all mixed together. She held her stance ready, anticipating his recovery, the energy between them, electric, the tension suffocating, as if the world itself had paused to witness this moment. The SEAL commander recovered, slowly, his eyes narrowing, calculating his next strike. But the advantage had shifted, and the spectators sensed it. The momentum now in her favor. The 100 watchers leaned closer, their hearts pounding, waiting for the next sequence, the next movement. That would decide the outcome. And in that suspended moment, a shadow passed behind the crowd, a figure moving silently, unseen by most, but catching her eye for a fleeting second and leaving a question lingering in the air. What was that, and what would happen next? The shadow behind the crowd disappeared as quickly as it had appeared, but her attention remained fixed on the SEAL commander. His eyes burned with intensity, his jaw clenched, muscles taut with effort. The 100 watchers leaned forward, whispers of astonishment filling the air, no one daring to break the spell of the moment. She moved deliberately, her breathing steady each footstep, precise measuring distance, calculating timing. The commander lunged again, his strike swift, powerful, designed to overwhelm her defenses. She shifted her weight just in time, twisting her body narrowly, avoiding the blow. The force of the strike missed her by inches, the ground trembling slightly beneath him. The crowd gasped, murmurs rising, the tension thickening like storm clouds. Her heart pounded, adrenaline surging, but her mind remained clear, each movement deliberate, each response flawless. He recovered quickly his stance, adjusting, circling her cautiously, now aware that she was no ordinary recruit. Her eyes never left his, calculating, reading, every twitch, every micro movement anticipating his next strike. The wind seemed to pause around them, the air charged electric, every watcher holding their breath waiting for the inevitable clash. She feinted a strike to his shoulder. He moved to block instinctively, and she twisted, striking his side with precise timing. His body jerked slightly, the impact unexpected, and the 100 watchers gasped again, some hands over mouths, some leaning forward, unable to contain themselves. The commander growled under his breath, fury and respect battling in his eyes. He lunged forward faster, harder, striking in a combination designed to catch her off guard. She moved like a shadow, avoiding. Each blow fluid, graceful yet powerful. Each strike she delivered calculated to destabilize him, each movement flowing seamlessly into the next. The clash intensified faster, harder, the sound of their contact echoing across the yard like distant thunder. The crowd could barely follow the rapid exchanges, the intensity overwhelming their senses. Her mind raced, calculating angles, timing, and momentum, her body a blur of motion. He recovered again, his strikes sharper, more precise, but she anticipated, every attack countering effortlessly. The 100 watchers could not believe their eyes, the strength, skill, and precision she displayed unmatched by anyone they had ever seen. He feinted once more. She pivoted, slipping past his guard, landing a blow. That forced him backward. The impact rattled him slightly, and the crowd erupted in murmurs, awe mixed with disbelief. The SEAL commander adjusted his stance, circling her again. Eyes locked on hers, a silent war waging between them. She mirrored his. Movements, each step calculated, each strike deliberate, her footwork perfect, her balance unwavering, each blow landing with precision. He struck again, aiming to overwhelm her defenses, but she flowed around him, twisting, evading, striking with uncanny skill. The energy between them charged the 100 watchers on edge, hearts pounding, unable to tear their eyes away. Every moment stretched, every movement loaded with anticipation and danger. She pressed her advantage, moving faster, her strikes relentless, calculated to force him into a defensive position. He stumbled back slightly, sweat dripping from his brow muscles, taut, his breathing heavier than before. She saw the slight weakness, the tiny shift in his balance, the subtle twitch in his shoulder. Her eyes narrowed, focusing on the moment, the perfect opening. He lunged again, more aggressively, hoping to regain control, but she anticipated, perfectly sidestepping, twisting, striking at the precise angle that would destabilize him further. The 100 watchers gasped, their collective breath held as they witnessed her skill. The SEAL commander staggered, feeling the cumulative impact of her strikes, his pride wounded, but his skill still formidable. He recovered quickly, circling cautiously, trying to anticipate her next move. She mirrored him, calculating every possibility, noting his fatigue, the slight unevenness in his footwork, the micro-adjustments in his stance, the tension between them thickening, each movement charged with intent and strategy. Her strikes relentless, precise, unyielding, each evasion fluid, elegant, a dance of skill and power. He struck once more, aiming for her torso. She pivoted, twisting, avoiding the blow and striking his side with perfect timing. The ground beneath them seemed to vibrate with the impact, the air electric with anticipation. The crowd erupted in murmurs, Awe, disbelief, and excitement all mixing together. Her eyes locked on his, reading the final pattern of his movements, the subtle hesitation, the micro shift in his stance. She moved faster than before, a blur striking with intent and precision, the cumulative effect forcing him to stumble. The 100 watchers gasped, some hands over mouths, some leaning forward, craning their necks, unable to comprehend the spectacle unfolding before them. The SEAL commander blinked in shock and fury, but she did not relent, her focus unwavering, her determination palpable, every muscle coiled, every strike calculated to exact maximum effect. He lunged again, faster, stronger, attempting to regain the advantage, but she was ready. Sidestepping, twisting, landing another precise blow to his side, the impact forcing him backward. The crowd erupted again, whispers of astonishment filling the air. Her heart pounded, adrenaline surging, but her mind was clear. Each movement, deliberate, calculated, flawless. The energy-charged electric anticipation building to a climax. The watchers on edge, unable to predict the next sequence of moves. She pressed forward, her determination, unyielding, every strike calculated to destabilize him completely. Her eyes narrowed, her mind focused the slightest twitch in his stance, signaling the perfect moment to deliver the decisive blow, and as she prepared, her body coiled, ready to strike. With the final precision, the shadow she had glimpsed behind the crowd earlier moved again unnoticed by most, but leaving a question lingering in the air. What was it? And how would it affect what was about to happen next? The shadow behind the crowd moved again silently, unseen by most. But she caught the glimpse briefly, her senses sharp and alert. The SEAL commander recovered slowly, his jaw tight, his eyes narrowing, every movement, calculated, every strike deliberate. But now a flicker of doubt flashed across his face. The 100 watchers leaned forward, their hearts pounding, anticipation electric in the air as the tension between them reached a new peak. She circled carefully, maintaining perfect balance, each muscle coiled, ready to strike. He lunged aggressively, aiming to regain control, but she anticipated every movement, sidestepping, twisting, striking with fluid precision. Her strikes relentless, calculated to weaken his stance, each blow forcing him backward. The crowd gasped, murmurs, spreading like wildfire, awe and disbelief, mingling with excitement. The commander blinked, sweat dripping from his brow, muscles taut, his breathing heavy, but his determination unwavering. She pressed forward, each movement a calculated assault, designed to push him to his limits. Every strike measured, every evasion flawless. His arms moved in a defensive pattern, striking with sharp, precise blows, attempting to destabilize her, but she flowed around him like water slipping past rock, each strike landing. With controlled force, each dodge perfectly timed. The 100 watchers could hardly believe the spectacle before them. Her skill unmatched, the intensity overwhelming. She lunged forward, a blur, striking at his midsection, forcing him to pivot. The impact rattling him slightly. The crowd erupted, murmurs of astonishment, disbelief, and excitement rising. She felt the momentum shifting now firmly in her favor. Her eyes narrowed, every nerve alert, calculating the next sequence of strikes. The SEAL commander lunged again, faster, more aggressively, but she was ready, sidestepping, twisting, striking at the precise angle to destabilize him further. The ground beneath them seemed to vibrate. With each impact, the energy between them. Electric. The crowd held their collective breath, every second, stretching, each movement loaded with anticipation. She pressed her advantage relentlessly. Her strikes a combination of power, precision, and strategy, designed to wear him down. The commander's pride wounded his face tight, his muscles straining as he struggled to regain control, her footwork perfect, her balance unwavering. Each blow calculated to exact maximum effect. The watchers leaned forward, unable to look away, unable to predict what would happen next. He lunged again, aiming to force a mistake, but she anticipated perfectly, sidestepping, twisting, striking at his side with precise timing, the impact forcing him backward once more. The 100 watchers gasped, some hands over mouths, some leaning forward, craning their necks in disbelief. Her heart pounded, adrenaline surging, but her mind remained clear, every movement deliberate, precise, flawless. The SEAL commander blinked in shock and fury, but she did not relent. Her determination palpable, every strike calculated, every evasion perfect. The energy between them charged electric anticipation, building toward a climax, the watchers on edge waiting for the decisive moment. She saw the slight weakness, the subtle hesitation, the micro shift in his stance, signaling the perfect opening. Her body coiled, ready to strike with final precision, every nerve alert, every muscle tense. The commander lunged again, hoping to regain advantage. But she flowed around him, striking with devastating accuracy, her movements a blur, the 100 watchers gasping in awe and disbelief. The ground seemed to tremble beneath them, the air thick with tension. She pressed forward relentlessly, strikes, landing each one calculated to destabilize him completely. He staggered backward, sweat-dripping muscles taut, his breathing heavy, but now fear mingled with determination in his eyes. The crowd murmurs rising, each gasp echoing across the yard, her eyes locked on his, reading every subtle twitch, anticipating the perfect moment to deliver the blow that would end the contest. The shadow behind the crowd shifted again, briefly disappearing, leaving a lingering question in the air. But her focus remained unbroken. She lunged forward faster than before, striking at his midsection, twisting her body with precision, the cumulative force forcing him to stumble backward. The 100 watchers erupted, their collective astonishment and disbelief, echoing across the training yard. The SEAL commander blinked, struggling to recover his pride, wounded, his defenses weakening. She pressed the advantage relentlessly, her movements precise, powerful, calculated each strike, pushing him closer to defeat. The tension thickened, electric. The air charged, every watcher holding their breath, waiting for the decisive moment. She moved in a blur, her strikes a combination of force, precision, and strategy. He lunged, attempting to counter, but she anticipated. Every motion twisting, evading, striking at the perfect angle. The ground beneath them seemed to shake with the energy of the clash. The crowd gasped, whispers, spreading awe, disbelief, and excitement mixing together. Her heart pounded, adrenaline surging, but her mind clear, calculating every strike, every evasion, every micro-movement. The SEAL commander staggered backward, each blow, cumulative, wearing down his defenses. She saw the perfect opening, the final moment, to assert dominance, and she moved. Faster than before, her body a coiled spring, ready to strike with devastating precision. The 100 watchers leaned forward, hearts pounding anticipation. Electric, every second, stretching, waiting for the decisive strike, and in that suspended moment, the shadow moved again, briefly unnoticed by most, leaving a lingering question in the air. What was it, and how would it affect what was about to happen next? The air was thick with tension. Every breath the 100 watchers held seemed synchronized. With the pounding of their hearts, the SEAL commander staggered backward. His pride wounded, his muscles taut, his eyes narrowing as he struggled to regain control. She pressed forward, her movements a blur of precision and power, each strike calculated, each evasion flawless, anticipating his every motion. The crowd gasped, murmurs of disbelief, awe and excitement rising like waves around them. He lunged one final time, hoping to regain advantage, but she anticipated perfectly, sidestepping, twisting, striking at the exact angle that would destabilize him completely. The ground beneath them seemed to tremble with the impact, the energy electric, every watcher frozen, unable to look away. Her heart pounded, adrenaline surging, but her mind was clear. Focused on the moment, the culmination of every calculated strike, every precise evasion. Her eyes locked on his, reading the final micro-shift in his stance, the subtle hesitation signaling the perfect opening. The SEAL commander blinked his breathing. Heavy sweat dripping from his brow, muscles taut. His confidence shaken, but his determination still burning. She coiled like a spring, every nerve alert, every muscle ready. Her strike would decide the outcome of the contest. The 100 watchers leaned forward. Their collective breath held the air thick with anticipation, waiting for the decisive moment. She lunged forward faster than before, a blur of motion, twisting, striking with perfect precision, the cumulative force devastating his defenses. He stumbled backward, unable to regain balance, his pride crumbling as her strikes landed with unrelenting accuracy. The crowd erupted in astonishment, awe, and disbelief. She did not relent, her focus unwavering, her movements, a seamless combination of power and strategy designed to overwhelm. He tried to counter to regain control, but she flowed around him, slipping past every strike, landing blows that forced him further back. The spectators gasped, some mouths open, some fists clenched, some leaning forward, unable to tear their eyes away. The ground seemed alive with the energy of their clash, every impact echoing across the training yard. The SEAL commander staggered backward, his breathing ragged, his strength waning. She pressed forward, relentlessly striking with precision and power, each movement calculated to exact maximum effect. Her eyes never left his reading, every subtle twitch, anticipating the perfect moment to strike the final decisive blow. The crowd held their collective breath, the tension suffocating electric. She lunged again, twisting her body, striking at the precise point that would force him to his knees. The impact sent him staggering, collapsing slightly, the 100 watchers gasping in astonishment, awe, and disbelief. Her heart pounded, adrenaline surging, but her mind remained clear. Each movement deliberate, controlled, flawless. He tried to rise to counter, but her presence pressed him down, the energy between them. Electric anticipation thick in the air. She struck again, precise, powerful, calculated, forcing him further to the ground. The 100 watchers erupted, murmurs of disbelief, awe and excitement echoing around the yard. She stood tall, breathing heavily, muscles, taut sweat dripping, but her eyes blazing with triumph. The SEAL commander struggled weakly, unable to recover fully. His pride shattered his defenses, broken. The crowd watched in stunned silence, whispers of astonishment spreading like wildfire. Her movements slowed slightly, acknowledging the victory, the dominance, the moment. She looked around, seeing awe, respect, replacing the previous mocking sneers. The shadow that had moved behind the crowd earlier stepped forward briefly, acknowledging her skill unnoticed by most, but leaving a silent recognition in the air. She took a deep breath, the tension slowly fading, the energy dissipating around the yard. The SEAL commander lay kneeling, his chest heaving, his eyes reflecting a mix of respect and disbelief. The 100 watchers erupted. In applause, some cheering, some whispering stories of the encounter that would be told for years to come. Her focus remained unwavering, her mind clear, her body poised, ready for anything, yet satisfied with the triumph. She had crushed the SEAL commander. Her skill, strength, and precision undeniable. The murmurs of the crowd grew into stories whispered across the yard, tales of the female recruit who had matched and dominated one of the finest warriors. The shadow stepped back, blending into the crowd, leaving only a lingering question hinting at greater challenges ahead. But in that moment, the victory was hers. The awe, respect earned the mocking laughter replaced by admiration. The wind carried the whispers across the yard, stories of power, skill, and determination that would echo far beyond the day, leaving every watcher stunned and inspired. And as she walked away, her eyes forward, her posture tall, the air around her seemed to hum with anticipation for the next challenge, the next test, the next story waiting to be written.